The year 2142, a remote mining colony. A girl named Rain tries to leave the planet, but she is refused and her contract is unilaterally extended for another 5 years. Realizing that the company is not going to let her go, Rain agrees to take part in the adventure of her friends. They are going to seize an abandoned starship, drifting in orbit, and fly away. For which they need Andy, Rain's android, with whom she grew up and whom she sees as her brother. The group manages to infiltrate the ship, but on the spot it is revealed that some biological experiments have been conducted here with xenomorphs, perfect life forms whose only instinct is to reproduce and kill. Alien is perhaps the only movie franchise in the history of cinema whose films are as dissimilar to each other as possible. Beginning as a claustrophobic horror, the cycle continued with a powerful masculine action movie, followed by a social drama and surreal glam action. There have been attempts in the franchise's history to play adventure fiction, existential philosophical drama, and even delve into torture porn territory. Alien found a foe in the form of the Predator, another iconic pop culture hero, and despite the fact that only the first 2 installments are considered universally successful, almost every movie in the franchise has its fans, and none of them, including the admitted failures Alien 3 and Aliens vs. Predator, Requiem, failed at the box office. Alien, Romulus is the 9th film in the series, and another attempt to reboot it by finding some sort of universal formula that can be extrapolated to future sequels. In many ways, this reboot is similar to what Hollywood did with another popular horror franchise, The Evil Dead, a decade earlier. They took the formula of the very first film and, while remaining within its framework in terms of plot, in the details arranged a tribute to the entire franchise at once, quoting and rephrasing cool ideas and findings from its other pictures. Symbolically, in both cases, the same director, Uruguayan Fede Alvarez, was invited to lead the process, and in both cases the result was approximately the same, quite secondary, but high-quality genre entertainment, which is imbued with nostalgia, which does not cover up some kind of the creative impotence, but used as an additional lever to influence the viewer. From a commercial point of view, Alvarez and his producers Ridley Scott and Walter Hill all succeeded. Box office income of Romulus in 1.5 times the amount collected by the previous part of the cycle, Covenant, while the cost of the picture, because of the return to the chamber style of the first film, is noticeably cheaper. The audience also liked it. On the IMDb, Romulus is rated higher than all the other sequels of Alien, excluding Aliens. But, of course, this is not to say that Alvarez created a masterpiece for all times. Such a high score should rather be attributed to the fact that the director made a universal movie. It will please those who grew up on Ridley Scott's horror. Fans of Aliens will see in it a familiar image of a fragile but steadfast woman with a weapon in her height. Connoisseurs of Jean-Pierre Jeunet's phantasmagoria will feel something native in the final act of Romulus, where the xenomorph comes to a new stage of evolution. And fans of existential Prometheus and Covenant will get a storyline about the relationship between humans and androids with reflections on whether an artificially created form of life can be considered life. All of this is there, just as there are memorable colorful characters, cool action scenes, and quite spectacular screamers that work even despite the predictability. The artists did their best, creating an interesting visual style that convincingly combines the vision of future technologies from different parts of the franchise. And, of course, the trump card, Android in the form of a digital copy of Ian Holm from 1979. Frankly speaking, he doesn't look very convincing, which is quite strange in a world where ordinary people create realistic deepfake copies of stars for TikTok, but the very fact of his presence works for the main thing that is in Romulus, the atmosphere of the new old movie. If you dig in, there's nothing groundbreaking about it, but it's a movie that immediately feels like home.